Horoscope, astrological forecast for January 2026 for representatives of the sign Cancer. January 2026 for you is a time to change or adjust scenarios in relationships. This month you will notice how strongly the people around you influence you. Or at the very least, you will notice that they are trying to control you, your decisions, and actions. Yes, the sector of your partnership relationships falls in an earthy, practical, stable sign, Capricorn, which on the one hand indicates that you know how to create relationships, and not only create, but also maintain them for a long time. And this applies to relationships of both a personal nature and friendly and business ones. On the other hand, the ruler of the sector of your partnership relationships is the planet Saturn, the lord of time, karma, and responsibility. So it turns out that any long-term relationships in your life, they to one degree or another, but in something, limit you. And most of the astrological events of January, the first month of this year, occur precisely in the sector of your partnership relationships. Therefore, there may be important events here, joint decisions, joint plans. Or you may begin to gradually and consistently change, so to speak, the rules of the game in relationships. The second important astrological sector for you this month is the sector of common and joint finances and resources. This is the sector that shows your financial planning, your financial strategies, and also common and joint property. Therefore, here too there may be a series of important events or, for now, only decisions. In general, January 2026 is a month of very strong energies. It is a month of super strong concentration of forces. In January, in just one calendar month, 10 new planetary cycles begin at once. And this indicates that such whirlpools of events, energy vortices are formed here, which will intensify on an increasing scale, reaching their peak in February of this year. Therefore, being in a state of inactivity here will not be possible and will not be desired. It is important for you this month not to undertake any risky actions or decisions related to money and property, and not to take on new financial obligations, unless it leads to your personal enrichment. The stellium, the accumulation of planets in the sign of Capricorn, in the sector of your partnership relationships. This speaks of your demanding nature, both towards yourself and towards other people, but with a tendency to take a lot upon yourself, to take on the responsibility of other people. Moreover, it is precisely in this sector of your horoscope, in the sector of partnership relationships, that the conjunction of the Sun and Mars occurs in January, which marks the beginning of a 2-year cycle of activity, showing the zone of active actions for the next 2 years. This month you may expect important events in the sector of your personal life, especially if you are looking for a relationship or your current relationship has a rather undefined status. This month will bring a series of bright events that we did not plan but deep down knew would happen. Let's discuss in more detail the most important astrological events of January and their influence on your sign step by step. On January 1, the planet Mercury transits into the space of the sign Capricorn, into your 7th house of the horoscope, the sector of partnership relationships. Mercury symbolizes thoughts, words, communications, information exchange with the surrounding world. And the sign of Capricorn is a responsible, serious, constant sign. Therefore, this time from January 1 to the 20th is a period of serious conversations related to partnership relationships. These can be meetings with people important to you, on whom the state of your affairs depends. These can be important and long-term agreements with your partner in your personal life or with your business companions. This is a time when you can discuss specific joint plans. For example, plans related to a joint trip with your partner in your personal life, with your friends. This is a time when you can discuss the legal bureaucratic aspect of some relationships. For example, new conditions of cooperation with your clients or your employer. This is what concerns this entire period from January 1 to 20. However, specifically on January 1, Mercury will be in a tense aspect relative to the planet Neptune, and this creates confusion, such organizational chaos. On this day, attentiveness is needed regarding the freshness and quality of food you consume, drinks. And also, you need to try not to delve into any informational provocations, not to argue with some people if it does not have specific practical benefit. On January 3, on this day, the first full moon of 2026 occurs, and it occurs precisely in your sign, in the first house of your horoscope. The full moon is always completion, culmination, clarity. And this full moon closes themes, tasks, roads, or affairs in which you showed initiative around the end of June 2025, then, when the new moon occurred in your sign. It is now that you will understand how relevant those plans were for you, what results you obtained from those programs that you laid down then, during the new moon in your sign, which occurred at the end of June 2025. The full moon in our own sign closes for us that theme, task, which is most relevant for us at this period of time. The first house of our horoscope shows the mask we are wearing now, that is, the role we are playing now, and the full moon here changes much. That is, this is a time when we can take off the mask that is habitual for us. For example, when we go on vacation, we take off the mask, and with it the burden of responsibility associated with work. This can be compared to when we come home after a stressful workday and take off, both literally and figuratively, take off that mask that we wore throughout the day. We change our image, change beautiful but uncomfortable shoes for cozy home slippers. Of course, this is figuratively speaking, but the full moon in our own sign gives such a feeling that we stop, at least temporarily, playing the role that is not easy for us. On January 6, on this day, a conjunction of the Sun and the planet Venus occurs in your 7th house of the horoscope, the sector of partnership relationships. The parade of new planetary cycles begins. And the conjunction of the Sun and Venus, on the one hand, gives events, decisions, trends that may in one way or another echo those events, decisions, and conclusions that you made in January 2014, January 2018, and the very beginning of January 2022. What is this cycle of Sun and Venus for your sign? Venus is appearance, beauty, earthly pleasures. Venus symbolizes material well-being, among other things. And the Sun is ourself, our personality, our intention. Venus shows how satisfied we are with ourselves and our standard of living. But the conjunction of the Sun and Venus occurs in the 7th house of your horoscope, in the sector of partnership relationships. Therefore, this is a day when we think about how satisfied we are with those partnership relationships we are currently in. And these are relationships both personal and friendly and business. We ask ourselves, who loves me and whom do I love? How do the people around me treat me and how do I treat them? And based on the answers we give ourselves, we make certain decisions. On January 8, on this day, a conjunction of Venus and the planet Mars occurs in your 7th house of the horoscope, again the sector of partnership relationships. This is the beginning of another planetary cycle, the Venus-Mars cycle. Venus symbolizes feminine energy, and Mars symbolizes masculine. And the conjunction of these celestial lovers occurs precisely in the sector of your partnership relationships. Venus also symbolizes our desires, our choices that we make using the voice of our heart. And Mars is our specific practical actions. And this day may bring events, or, for now, only decisions that again concern the sphere of partnership relationships. Partnership relationships both in personal life and in friendly and business life. Since the conjunction of these celestial lovers occurs in the sign of Capricorn, in the abode of rules, order, foundations, in the abode of time, this is a day when you can ask yourself how stable and long-term your partnership relationships and your intentions in relationships are. If you are looking for a relationship, this day may bring you such a firm intention to create a couple in personal life. Or it may also be about the intention to create partnership relationships in business, in work. On January 9, on this day, a very important conjunction of the Sun and the planet Mars occurs. Their conjunction also occurs in the sector of your partnership relationships. This day is the beginning of a 2-year cycle of activity, since the Sun is our self, our personality, and Mars is our activity. And it is on this day that we essentially choose for ourselves an active or passive strategy. Not only a strategy, but also the main direction of our actions and efforts for the next 2 years. And this again may concern the choice of a scenario in relationships for the next 2 years. And this may be related to personal, friendly, or business relationships. More about the essence of this 2-year Sun-Mars cycle and its influence on each of the zodiac signs, I will publish a detailed separate video in the near future. On January 9 and 10, the Sun, Mars, and Venus will be in a tense aspect of opposition relative to the planet Jupiter. January 9 and 10 are the exact dates, but the influence of this aspect will be felt until the middle of the month. That is, this is a time when the Sun, Mars, and Venus will be in opposition relative to your sign, in opposition to your ambitions. And this is a time when your partners may either persuade you to make some decision or perform some action, or, conversely, dissuade you from that step or decision that you have already made. That is, they may try to influence you. This is a good time for working with people. But as for personal matters, here we need to remember that generous Jupiter is in your sign only once every 12 years. If you now give up some of your ideas and ambitions in favor of the interests of other people, the next chance may not be soon. On January 17, on this day, the Sun will be in favorable aspects relative to the planets Saturn and Uranus. This is a day that may bring important and useful meetings, a fortunate confluence of circumstances, and also important events in the affairs of key partners for you. And these events will also be beneficial precisely for you. This is also a day of preparation for some processes, for the start of some undertakings. And this preparation process will be full of enthusiasm. Also, this day will bring positive feedback. This may be praise from other people and high appreciation of your achievements or simply pleasant words. On the same day, January 17, the planet Venus transits into the space of the sign Aquarius, where it will remain until February 10. Venus will be transiting through your 8th house of the horoscope. Venus symbolizes well-being, symbolizes various pleasures in the earthly world. These are pleasures related to relationships, money, matter, some material objects, that is, pleasures of different spectrums. And the 8th house, through which Venus will be transiting, is the house of common and joint finances and resources. This is the house of financial obligations, both ours to someone and obligations towards us. And Venus improves the situation in this sector of your life. This may become a period of receiving the money you expect, a period of receiving some bonus, commissions, or awards. This may be a period of purchases at favorable prices with big discounts. Also, the 8th house symbolizes the income level of our partner in personal life. And this is a time that may bring an increase in income for your partner as well. During this period, that is, from January 17 to February 10, you may receive passive income if you have such sources or money from afar. Also, there may be an important event or conversation, a meeting with a woman on whom the state of your affairs depends. Also, the trend of Venus through the 8th house may bring flirtation. This may be meaningless communication with someone, yet very pleasant. On January 18, on this day, the first new moon of 2026 occurs. It occurs in the sign of Capricorn, again, in the sector of your partnership relationships. The new moon brings something new, and here there may be a period when you will be restoring some work connections. Clients with whom you once collaborated may return to you. There may be joint work plans or plans with your friends. Also, this is a time that may bring some changes in the affairs of your partner in your personal life. On January 20, on this day, the planet Mars will be in an aspect of luck relative to the planet Uranus. This is a day when you should listen to the opinion, advice, or offer of a close person, a partner in your personal life, a friend, or a business companion. On this day, you should not refuse those offers or invitations that may be made to you. Here you should support the initiative of your partner. This is a successful day for collective and joint activities, and also for advertising and trade. Also on this day, January 20, another planetary cycle begins, the Venus-Pluto cycle, which will last until March 6, 2027. This is a cycle of transformation according to the functions of Venus. This is, first of all, money, property, relationships, and also our appearance. Essentially, these are all the themes that are emotionally responsive for us. Pluto transforms what is distorted. It heals the situation, but at the same time, it can act in such ways that we may not like very much. And this transformation cycle may be related to health issues, treatment, if this topic is relevant, to issues concerning the transformation of our external physical form. These are also issues of relationships, passion in relationships, and of course, issues of money, property, and joint possessions. More about this important Venus-Pluto cycle, I will also make a separate video. On January 23, on this day, a conjunction of the Sun and the planet Pluto occurs in your 8th house of the horoscope, in the sector of your finances and joint assets. Pluto in this sector will be for many more years and will transform this sphere of your life. That is, issues concerning property, possessions, issues of joint ownership and common resources. And each year the beginning of the Sun-Pluto cycle occurs. That is, essentially, each year the beginning of the cycle touches upon a new theme, sets a new task that will be transformed. Therefore, it is very important during this day to listen to the hints we receive in order to understand which particular aspect of your life will be affected by this annual cycle of transformation. This is, first of all, for your sign, issues of major purchases, investments, joint possessions, joint budget, and property. These are issues of the method of storing your savings and your investment in something. These are also issues related to passive sources of income and in general your financial planning. Yes, Pluto in the 8th house of your horoscope has a wide field of possibilities for transformation here, but each year a new string will be touched. Therefore, it is important on this day, January 23, to hear that hint that will tell you which particular sphere, which particular aspect of the 8th astrofield will be affected by the transformational Pluto throughout this year. On January 26, on this day, the planet Neptune transits again and now finally into the space of the sign Aries, into your 10th house of the horoscope. Neptune, which is the patron of our faith, our collective unconscious, the patron of our ideals and the matter of our soul, transits into the fiery sign of Aries, which shows the beginning of a new era. An era that will be colored by fanaticism. Neptune transits into the space of your 10th house of the horoscope. The 10th house is the house of our status, our achievements, and Neptune is the planet of ideals. Therefore, you will have the opportunity to achieve in your life that level you have always dreamed of. However, everything that Neptune touches is always strange, shaky, and mystical. This speaks, so to speak, of strange paths to one's goals. More about this long-term, multi-year transit of Neptune through the sign of Aries and its influence on each of the zodiac signs, I will make a separate video. On January 27, on this day, the most important astrological event of the month occurs. The planet Mars and Pluto conjunct in your 8th house of the horoscope. Mars is personal strength, and Pluto is collective strength. Mars is our will, it is the strength that comes from within, and Pluto is the strength that comes from outside. And on this day, both these forces, both these vectors, unite into a single whole. Mars is Aries, the god of war, and Pluto is Hades, the god of the underworld. And the conjunction of these planets, of course, gives rise to such an energy surge. And it is important on this day to determine for yourself the main direction for the transformation of your life for years to come. It is important to determine in which particular sphere of life you want radical changes and changes, not only as results, but as radical changes in your approach, changes in your strategies. That is, on this day, it is important to set the vector for this powerful energy, to set the vector with the help of your intention. That's how, from an astrological point of view, January 2026 will be. Yes, the first month of the year. It will be very bright and intense, and it is important for each of us to use these energy vortices to transform our life. I wish you a wonderful, successful month, dear Cancers.